I wanted to share with you the means by which I clean the pond and clean the pond filter, which typically happens every other week during the cool season, and maybe once a week or once every 10 days during the warmer season. And you can see the waterfall behind me, but to actually clean it, I do need to turn the power off. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the power off, and then we'll get to cleaning. Thanks.
Okay.
So look, the power's out, the waterfall is stopped. This is the part that's really fun. If you want to have this pond, you actually have to be able to want to get into it, because there's no other way to clean things. So I'm going to get in.
Scurry fish, scurry!
Yes, there are fish, including one very pregnant female.
Oh, I saw it. Oh, cool.
And one little duck that seems to be very happy sitting there. Typically I would cut away the vegetation I don't like this old leaf. In any order you wish. This product, aquatic plant fertilizer, is little pellets, and each lily, of which there are 2, get 1 pellet per week during the growing season. You don't need to do that from October until April. But from April until October, you should give them 1 pellet a week to get nice big flowers. The biggest part of getting in the pond and cleaning, and the reason you have to get in the pond, is because the filter is underwater. So I'm going to go get the filter now.
What's that thing, Dave?
The big blue thing, it's just ornament, and it happens to float, so I let it float. When you put the filter in, you'll want to weigh it down with a brick. That's because a new filter is not filled with material, so it tends to be lighter and will float. But after a few days, it will fill up with material, and it'll be plenty heavy and happy to sit on the bottom. Now, I own 2 filters. The reason I own 2 filters is so that I can do this as quickly as possible. I can always choose to clean the filter material later. But you can see here the filter itself. There's this filter media, which is replaceable, and I'll actually throw that out. And then there's this filter media that's permanent, and this is what it looks like when it's full of muck. So, but we'll clean that later. That's for later. This is a clean filter. It has the new filter media, which is actually replaceable. So that gets replaced every time. And the permanent filter media, which is washable in water. So I wash that out with the hose. All these materials that I'm using you're going to find in the shed, all on the same shelf. And the filter media is there as well, with a receipt that shows you where I purchased it. You can get 15 feet of filter, which will last you a very long time, for about $11. Okay, so the filter's ready to go back in. Before I put the filter back in, I'm just going to make sure that the pump is clear. Things that might clog the pump, and most typically clog the pump, are snails. Snails are small enough to get inside the filter, and they think it's pretty fun to live in the pump. And so when you see your water rate go down sufficiently, or even nearly stop, it's because something has climbed inside the pump. So we'll just make sure there are no snails in there, and there are none. I can check the pump itself as well, and there are none. Now, if you're really having a problem with water flow, you're going to need to check this side of the pump as well to make sure there are no snails on this side of the pump. In that case, you're going to have to unscrew this clamp and then just pop that hose off that side of the pump and check that side of the pump out as well. Okay, we have a clean pump, we have a clean filter. The filter doesn't screw onto the pump, it just gets plugged in. It's an easy connection. And I'll put that new filter underwater. And because it's light, I'll weigh it down. And we're good to go for another week. The thin filter media that's on top is something I throw away. If you clean it 2 or 3 times, it falls apart anyway because it's so thin. So I've just decided, in terms of convenience and ease, that it is much more convenient and efficient to throw this away each time rather than try and clean it 3 times. So that's going in the trash. Now, there are 4 pieces of filter media that are inside the filter that are permanent, more or less. And they're definitely cleanable and definitely replaceable. Or, well, not replaceable. You're not going to replace them. They're definitely cleanable and can be used again, is what I'm trying to say. You can see that they're just filled with muck, and that makes them very thin. They've sucked up a lot of junk. But all you need to do is wring them out under some water like you would a washcloth. See that it's expanded again. There's not nearly as much dirt in it. Do that for each of the 4 pieces, and then you're going to lay those 4 pieces back in there and cover them with the more thin filter media. The other thing that you want to do, as long as you're in here, is you want to treat the water appropriately, and then you want to clean things. I just use a normal Teflon scrubby, and I use that to clean some algae off of material. And you can see what I mean here. This fountain is really bright blue, and it gets a mottled appearance, and that's just the growth of algae that's uncontrollable. And so every now and then you'll want to clean that. Whether that's every time you do the pond is really a good question. You can see it's dirty, and here it's clean. Similarly, I will clean the waterfall. And this is something I do clean every time, and it's a lot more apparent that algae does grow even when you try and control it. And it changes the way things look. And the more algae that grows, probably the harder it is to control. So every time I change the filter, I will clean the edge of the bath, and I will also clean algae off the rocks with a scrubby. Nevertheless, the fish will love you. They eat the algae, so they think that this is the best thing, akin to feeding time. I don't feed the fish any extra food. They eat algae off the plants. So they eat algae, and right now they think I'm a pretty good guy, and you can see them swimming around my feet because they are ready to eat all the algae I'll give them. Other than the fertilizer, there are 3 things that I use on a weekly basis. And 2 of those things are for the purpose of containing algae, and they're both organic. This one is called Clarify Max, and it's actually made out of barley. And this one is called One Fix, and don't ask me what it's made out of, but again, I've been assured it's organic. Neither of them harm amphibian life or fish. The barley mix, it is on the back of the can how much you should add. Basically, you should add 3 scoops for this pond. The pond has approximately 1,500 to 1,700 gallons of water, and you get 1 scoop per every 500 gallons of water. So 3 scoops. The One Fix Clarifier is 1 ounce per 3,000 gallons, so at 1,500 gallons we only need half of a cup, half of an ounce. Both of those go right into the water and are supposedly not damaging to life at all. The fish don't seem to mind, so that's good. Whew. I'm about to fall over, and you should be careful that the first time you get in a pond, realize that the surface isn't flat. I dug this hole, but I didn't get in here with a backhoe and grade it. So there is variation in the surface of the bottom, and you can slide around. You can also get in here and swim if you like that, because it's fun. So the last chemical is Vanish Dechlorinator. Vanish is added to water when you fill the pond using a city water supply. If you don't dechlorinate, you'll eventually change the pH of your pool until it doesn't support life. So when you add city water in those very, very dry times, I usually add water up to the bottom of this rock. I actually put some of these rocks in with a sense of how would I gauge water. And so the bottom of this rock is the highest the pond should be. After that, the pond will start to overflow into the yard. I think that this rock represents the lowest your water should be. And I think that's more of an aesthetic thing. Um, Certainly the fish continue to survive and the pump continues to survive. But if the water's any lower than this rock, you start to see some of the rudiments of the pond, like the liner or certain bricks that hold it up. So, this Vanish dechlorinator can be purchased here at American Aquatic Gardens. It's the most common thing that's used in every pond, so they certainly have it. The two clarifying products, because they're organic, are not the most commonly used products, so you have to purchase them online. But they're not expensive at all. And as I said earlier, the filter media you're going to purchase probably a 2-month supply for about $11, and you can get that online as well. I'm going to go back to scrubbing the pond and cleaning off my rocks, which makes me happy. And I hope you enjoy the pond as much as I did. I think it's a lot of fun and very pretty. And if you have any questions, also you can always contact me. Thank you. Just so you know, there is a power to the pump that pushes the waterfall. There's also power to a smaller pump that pushes the small fountain. And both of those both of those pumps are underwater, but they're plugged in under this black bucket behind the pond next to the palm tree. So you don't need to unplug anywhere but the deck to deny power to the pond. So when you want to clean your pond but you don't want to get in it, I do have this handy dandy golf ball net. And that's perfect for getting little stuff like that. Or that. So you should know that that's there too, always hanging on the front of the shed.